Your will. This time I'm asking that question in 3 weeks. Last week when I said that our big hard fact was that 100% of people will die, one of you called in and you said this to me.
On a point of correction, Sandra.
Yes.
All of us will not die. Those who are raptured at the second coming of Christ will never taste death. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Nika, you remember the person who called in last week and said all of us will not die, or those of us who are raptured on the second coming of Christ will not face death, yes?
I remember that.
And I remember that last week, I went home and I thought about what he said, and I thought about it for so long and so hard that I had to come back on the show and say, you know what, in as much as you have said something, and you made some good points, I came back and I said, even if you get raptured, you still need to write a will, because here's something the Bible says, Nike. The Bible says that we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. It doesn't say that we shall be caught up with our possessions, right? So your house and your money will not be raptured. It's only you that will be raptured.
And your raptured inhabitants need to know who is getting it.
Exactly, because we all have relatives that don't fear God. Do you understand? We all have relatives that will not be raptured with the rest of us, and they will have to be here to endure the great tribulation. You understand what I'm saying? While they're enduring the great tribulation, it will be good for them to have house, It would be good for them to have some money that they can use to buy things for the mark of the beast.
Before 666 takes over.
You understand what I'm saying? So right away, Nika Romgolo has been on the show with us for the third time in a row. And she's here to answer all your questions. Like I said, I'm going to take a seat back and I'm just going to hear you ask her your questions and she'll answer them. So the number to call is 0700 993 993 993. Have you written a will? What's the reason you haven't written a will yet? Do you have any questions about writing wills? Do you have any concerns about writing a will? Have you been paying attention to the conversations that Nika and I have been having for the past 2 weeks? Are there things that she has said or questions she's answered that you'd like her to expand upon? 0700 993 993 993. If you have thought about writing a will, but you haven't gone on to write a will, give us a call and tell us why you haven't done that yet. Have you decided who will be a part of your will? Have you decided who will execute your will? We talked about executors last week. Have you ever been part of the execution of someone's will? So have you been somebody's executor before? How did that go? Huh? And why do you think more Nigerians don't have wills, even though it will solve a lot of problems regarding inheritance? 0700 993 993 993. You can also tweet at us at Nigeria Info FM. Twitter is at Nigeria Info FM. And of course, you can share your thoughts on Facebook and your questions as well. So today we're just taking questions. That's it. Twitter, Nigeria Info FM. Facebook, Nigeria Info 99.3. WhatsApp is 080 959 75805. We've got Baba G from Okafo on the line. Hello, Baba G. Baba G, hello. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, go ahead.
I think I've listened to you about 2 times about talking about will.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember vividly that you said you told your mom, now write a will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what is the right age for one to write a will? That is the question I'm going to ask you. 1, 2.
Okay.
Can a single person write a will if you have not married? Let's say manageable bachelor or manageable spinster. You are ripe, about 40-something. And you made a lot of
investment.
A lot of assets. Can you still write a will?
Okay.
No, you have not married. You don't have children. But you are grown up, manageable bachelor and spinster. That is it. And another question I want to ask, Sandra, have you written your will?
Yes, Nika is actually my lawyer. All right, Baba G. Okay, thanks for calling us, Baba G. So, Nika, as a fashionable spinster or bachelor? Can you write a will? Let's start from there, and then let's move to at what age can you write a will?
Okay, I think I will start with the age actually.
Okay.
Because once you're of legal age, and in Nigeria, legal age is 18. Once you're 18 years old, you can write a will, and your will will be valid in Nigeria. So everyone 18 years and above can have a valid will. Now, for minors that serve in the military, I don't think in Nigeria we have minors that serve, so I don't even think that counts anyway. So let me not even delve into that complicated text.
Okay.
So now, for spinsters and bachelors, bullets, yes, you can have a will, particularly if you're doing well. Even if you're not doing well, so you can have a will. See, it's actually more important for single and upwardly mobile people to have wills, because for the married ones that die intestate, the letters of administration, like I said last week, like there is like a hierarchy to succession. So when your spouse dies, you as the living spouse, you're the first in line to inherit. But when a single person dies, it's more technical. If that single person dies without a child, it's now go to the parents or the siblings. Now, what if you don't act like you're not in good terms with your family members, or during your lifetime, you and your family, your immediate family, were not in good terms, or you don't even want them to inherit, or you want it to go to just one person, or you even have friends that you hold closer than your family. That is even why you need to have a will. Because if you do not, as a single person, and you just die, it goes to your parents and siblings. And if you have none, the vultures will descend.
All right. Let's take another question. 99.3. Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for calling. We can barely hear you, sir.
My name is Pastor Rich. I'm calling you.
Hello.
Pastor Rich, we can barely hear you. That's quite unfortunate.
I'm calling you from Ikotu.
Oh, okay. This is better. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I want to say is that in writing will, like in some area, like in the area I came from, I don't think whether we work there. You know why?
Why?
Because in my area, it is known that even in that place, when the father died, the first son carry the lion's share. You understand? So even you depend on lawyers and baristas and the rest of them, that is how they have been doing even today.
Where do you come from?
I'm from Edo State.
Okay. And in Edo State, even if the person writes a will, the family members will not honor it.
I've never seen where we work in my town, in the area where I came from. That is what they do. Even the daughters, they don't give them anything. They will say, daughters have no property. Although things should be changing, they believe. But what another thing I want to say is that you people should also tell us the disadvantage about this. Like now in the Bible, the quoted Bible, when you said husband and wife is one, and you want to write will your wife give to writing will? You also said that that woman that barrister is your lawyer. When writing will, you expose your lawyer to people. Is it not dangerous?
Oh, don't worry, she's safe. When writing will, should you expose your lawyer to people, Nike? Hello, Nike, did you hear that?
I did not get the question. I'm here.
Oh, okay. So he said that where he's from in Edo State, that he doesn't think wills work because, people just know that once a man dies, the first son gets the lion's share of the property. So that's one, right? And then number two, should you expose your lawyer to the world that writes your will? Isn't that dangerous to the lawyer? Because remember, a caller called and said, Sandra, have you written your will? And I said, yes, that you're actually my lawyer. So they're saying, isn't that dangerous?
How?
I don't know. You tell
Like, you
me.
come and find me. I don't understand.
I don't know. You tell me.
I seize your will, and as in, like, I don't understand.
I don't
Please
know.
expose me to the world, or expose me, I mean. Expose me, my sister. Please
No,
expose me very well.
but is there a danger there? I mean, because again, the will not dey your hand. The will dey for court hand. Don't be so.
See, nothing they happen. Expose me. See, don't mind them. Expose me. Don't even think about it so much. There's no danger.
Okay.
So, see, there is no danger in it now. So I can understand it is like, like if there's like a very, very contentious family, and then the person that is the wealthiest in that family dies, and then some insidious people in the family want to get a hold of the will to manipulate it or to just tear it or something, then in that case, that person's lawyer, if the lawyer is known to these people, might be in danger. Like, they might not want him to like read the will, or or not want him to like expose the will, and stuff like that. So in those extreme cases, I can understand the line of questioning.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I see. Then what do you think about what he says about some parts of the country? He mentioned Edo State specifically,
Edo State,
where wills. I don't know if he's saying that wills are not recognized or that people just don't write wills because they have laid down laws where if a man dies, daughters don't inherit the first daughter.
I understand where he's coming from.
Okay.
So under Nigerian law, when you're making your wills, your wills are subject to the customary laws that you are bound by.
I see.
So, for example, in Edo State, I believe it's Edo State. There's this thing called Idiogbe. I cannot pronounce it well.
Okay.
And
Okay.
But then it's something that when the man dies, it must go customarily. It goes to the first son.
Okay.
So we have some Nigerian cases where some men from this past have disinherited their first son for whatever reasons and have passed this on to like the second son or the last son or to somebody else altogether that is not the first son. And the courts have time and time again said that such devolvement or such bequeathment is invalid because in his lifetime is not something that he could have done. Because under the laws, the customs and traditions that he's bound by, that tool or that gift or that particular thing cannot be bequeathed to to any other person other than his first son, no matter what.
I see.
Even if the child, is on the street, like the child, as this is a child that you have disinherited. Once that first son is alive, and for all intents and purposes, he is still your surviving first son. It goes to him.
So to be clear, is this reserved for specific property or for all property, period?
Not for all property. Only the property that is bound by those laws. Not for all properties. Like, for example, now you can give like every other thing out, or like if that is the only thing that would go to that first son as his own customary inheritance. Then just that can go to him, like in different parts actually. Like, under Nigerian law, you are first and foremost subject to your customs.
But doesn't that put women at a disadvantage? Because in a lot of customs, you have a situation where women cannot inherit. In fact, there's a lot of uproar because in 2014, the Supreme Court awarded that in Igbo land, women can now inherit from their fathers.
That is something that has been heavily contested now. So when your custom is is seen as being repugnant to natural justice, to equity, to fairness, then those customs will not be honored by the court. For example, now, like that case that you mentioned now in 2014, like there's a locus classicals for it. I think it's Mogaji versus Mogaji.
No,
also.
excuse me.
Like, I'm not so sure.
Sorry, you just said locus classicals. Please.
Okay. There is a grandfather case where all other decisions flow from. Like there's precedent, like there's judicial precedent for that. So in that case, a man had died and he did not, and he died and he left a will. And in the will, he had bequeathed his properties to all his children, to his daughters and his sons and his wife. And then the will was contested on the grounds that, according to the laws and customs of that particular place, that the girls cannot inherit. And they went to court. And the court held that the girls can inherit, that the women will inherit, because even though that tradition is alive and well, that tradition is repugnant to natural justice, is repugnant to fairness, is repugnant to, to equity. So basically, in those instances, those laws will not apply. That is why it is important when you know that you come from these places to have a will, particularly with customs that are repugnant, so that your people can inherit. Because if you die intestate, you are left to the customs. You have nowhere else to go because you have no will.
Okay. We've got Bashir Haruna who says, Sandra, based on Islam, if a person dies, Islamic law or Quran already shared the inheritance properties based from newborn to the elder relative. So I don't know much about Islam. So where does Islam come into the place of the law, Nike?
So actually, I was about to, to touch this.
Okay.
So under Islamic law, I do not know if it has changed. I haven't kept abreast with that ambit of the law since law school, but this is just from my rudimentary knowledge of the law.
Okay.
Yeah. Under Islamic law, you can only bequeath, I think, a third of your property.
Okay.
Like that is, because I think 2/3 of it has already been shared for you. So what you have to share according to your will is just a third. That's why I was saying that in different parts of Nigeria, different laws, See, I have a friend. Well, I had a friend, and when her father died, I think he died when we were in law school. So, but then he was sick for a while. Like, he was sick for a long time. Like, he knew he was going to die. So what he did in his lifetime was to give them gift intervivors.
Okay.
Now what that means is to give them gifts, like his houses. He gave it to them while he was alive.
I see.
So those things now do not come or fall under the ambit of the of the law. So you see, since he knew he was going to die, in his lifetime, before he died, he did his will. He executed it, basically. So,
So you can do that as well, if
you can give gifts,
if,
of course,
you can gift it. Okay, somebody says, what happens if the will goes against the customary and traditional practices of the land? I think we've answered this question, yes? Somebody says, what happens to assets and properties left behind by a father who did not write any will in accordance with the law? Nike?
He not write any will in accordance with the law. So that means he has no will. He died intestate. So what happens to his property? So the first thing that the family would do would be to approach the probate registry of the High Court of the state. When they go there, they would give them like a list as like a form of to fill. Now they'll fill the form, they'll write the man's name, when he died, then they'll bring a death certificate. They'll write a list of his assets. They will now give them a slip that they'll take to all the banks in Nigeria to find out how much the man has, then when they have collected his like assets and liabilities, then they will take it back, it's a long process.
Hmm.
Then you get back to the registry, then you now go to court
Okay.
to get, to try and apply for the letters of administration. Now you must publish that that application for letters of administration in any of the national dailies for 21 days. It must be published for 21 days. Do you know what it means to publish that you want to get letters of administration for a man that left no will for 21 days? Is you have informed the people that you don't want to inform before. They have heard and they are coming.
So everybody will come and lay claim, huh?
Yes. Then you now have contest. People contesting it. That's when you know that the man has children that he hid in Kafancha. They have come out.
But that's what happens if you don't write a will, which is why we've been having this conversation for the past 3 weeks, so that you don't die and something like this has to happen, because 100% of us will die. Huh? I don't think Jesus is coming in the next 50 years.
Raptured.
We've got, and then even if you are raptured, remember what we said about your relatives that don't used to hear word. We've got Tunde from Ogun State who says, my dad is 77 years old. 2 years ago, he got himself a woman in her late 30s after my mom passed away. This woman took him to the registry without the knowledge of my siblings or anyone in the family. After the honeymoon, this woman used to beat my dad until he couldn't bear it any longer. He sent her packing some months ago. What are the implications of these things regarding his property and a will? Nike, that's a good question, huh?
So, like we said, now, even if you have a will, your will can be contested on different grounds.
Okay.
Now, grounds for contest is that, so now, for example, now, if a man in this situation now dies, and he dies with a will, and in the will, he gave everything that he had to this woman that beat him up, that will be contested on the grounds that he was not of sound mind when he wrote the will, or that the will was obtained by fraud. Now, fraud here now means that, that at the time the man wrote the will, he will be that was untrue, that had been used the will in father.
I see.
If this man dies in his marriage to this woman
in court,
for the hierarchy of succession, she is first in line to inherit.
Okay.
She's first in line to inherit. So what happens to his property? If he has pursued the woman, they should make it legal. They should make that divorce legal.
Okay.
Because if he dies before that is finalized, like if he dies while the case is being filed, or while the divorce is pending in court, at least that suit can show that during his lifetime, before he died, he was already divorcing her. So, it's a strong suit, basically.
Okay.
It's just that he died before time.
Okay.
It's complicated, but he should still write a will anyway.
Okay. All right. We're going to take more of your questions. WhatsApp is pouring. The phone lines are blinking unendingly. If you just joined the show, we are taking listener questions only. I'm not asking any questions whatsoever. All the questions I've asked so far are questions that you want the lawyer to answer, because we're trying to find out how exactly you can go about writing your will, what issues you have with writing a will, why you don't currently have a will, and what questions you have about wills in general, how we can address those questions and get you to make sure that you protect the interests of your loved ones. Nikki Arabonlo is a lawyer with one of the biggest firms in Nigeria, and she's on the show today answering your questions for the third time in 3 weeks. I am Sandra Ezekwesili. It's 5:27. Don't go away.
Hard Facts will be right back.
Welcome back to Hard Facts with Sandra Ezekwesili.
All right, we're back. It's 29 minutes past 5. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. Nika Robonlo is on the show with me. And we've got Tade from Abado, who says, how will they know one has a will after death? And how expensive is it to write a will? Okay. Nika.
So, how would you know one has a will after death?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. Well,
Mm-hmm.
your lawyer, your executor, any of these people will be aware. So when you die, and then they are informed of your death, the will surface.
Okay.
How much does it cost to write a will? Contact your lawyer. Have that discussion with your lawyer.
Okay. How much does it cost to write a will? Depends on the lawyer. As soon as somebody dies, the executor will inform the family members about the existence of a will, executor or the lawyer. All right. So someone wants to know, Daniel. Daniel wants to know, what is the role of one's wife in writing a will? Is the husband to write the will along with the wife?
No, write your will. Like a will is a personal document. It's your own document. It's your own testament. It's for you. Unless you guys plan to have like a joint suicide or something. So you guys plan to die together. Because if you write a will and it's a joint will, like, how would that even work?
Okay.
So
Yeah, should the wife write her own will and the husband
write? The
write?
wife should write her own will for her own properties.
Okay.
The husband should write his own will for his own properties.
What if they have joint properties?
If they have joint properties, they should put it in the will.
Ah, I see.
Yes.
So in the will I'm writing that is about, if I'm writing about a property that is a joint property, I should write this property that I jointly own with my husband. I want to give it to my child. And then my husband will write this property I jointly own with my wife. I want to give it to another child. Wouldn't that cause conflict?
No, it doesn't, because because both parents have stake in those properties. It's jointly owned. So now it's jointly owned by the two beneficiaries. There's no problem to that. If it's let's say it's a one-bedroom flat and both parents own that one-bedroom flat, then both kids now own the one-bedroom flat. If they cannot agree, they can sell it and split the money in two.
Okay. All right, we've got Patrick from Igondo who says that once a spinster or bachelor who has written a will marries, the marriage invalidates the will. Is that true?
That's not true. Unless that will is updated, unless there is a codicil. Your will, your last will and testament is valid as long as it hasn't been changed.
Okay.
Updated.
Okay. All right. And then this person says, in Edo State, the Igiogbe is always the exclusive preserve of the first son, whether there's a will or not. Wills are regulated by the customs and tradition of the testator. I think we've already said this earlier on, Patrick. We've got more messages via WhatsApp, but let me come to the phone lines so that you don't accuse me of being partial. 99.3. Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for calling. Good evening.
This is Moses calling from Lekki.
Moses, welcome.
I think in a way that husband will write his own will, wife will write his own will. The house is already separated. We should do things as one family that we are. There is no separation between us. Yes, it's a fact.
Okay.
And one thing I know is that any man that cares about his wife and his children, he should always care about them even in his death when he has died.
Okay.
So he should always think of something that he will do before he dies so that the family won't hurt his family.
Okay.
That one is, but splitting the family, this is my own land. But I always believe what the husband owns is automatically owned by the wife.
Okay.
What the wife owns should be owned by the husband. There's nothing like a writing thing. You are divided already.
Okay.
I would like to respond to that.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Hmm.
Go ahead, Nikki. Respond to that.
There is no sentiment in law. I will start from there. There's no sentiment in law.
Okay.
When they say husband, write your will, wife, write your will, it does not mean that the husband and wife are divided. They are two separate entities. Like they are two individuals. And particularly where both of them are, are successful. It can just be money. It can just be a dress. It can be anything. It can be property. The woman can even just be winning it to her husband in case she dies. Once you own something, it's your own. It's your own. In death, it's even still yours. So you have the right to give it to whoever you want to give it to. So, for example, let me say there's a joint will now, or let me say just the man has a will because there's no joint will. So let's say just the husband has a will, and then the wife dies before. Well, no, the wife dies before him, and she dies intestate.
Mm-hmm.
And then she has gold.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say she had a lot of gold, and she has 2 daughters and a stepdaughter. And the man that wants to share the gold, how he chooses. But daughters are saying no. We know how my mother would have wanted to share this gold if she was alive. Now, ordinarily, the man can just say, well, all the gold is now mine, and then I can share it how I choose. But then, if the woman had a will, there will be no talk.
Abi.
There will be no English.
Abi.
Like, it will be clear. Like, even if you're grumbling after the fact, because she has spoken from the grave. She has said what she wanted to say. She has shared her property how she wanted to share her property. Now, just to even say some things, myself, maybe in your lifetime you were cowardly, but your spirit, is strong and stubborn, and your spirit has some things it wants to say. So you say it in your will. Things that has been paining you in your lifetime, but you know what to say. So you will not bear the consequences while you're here. You can say it in your will.
All right, we've got a question from Muyiwa in Festac who says, let's say in my will, I specify that a particular property goes to my wife, Jane, and I call her both by name and by title, my wife. If we get divorced and I die before updating the will, does the language "my wife" in the will, invalidate her claim since she's no longer my wife?
Technical. You see, this is why it's good to update your will. This is why it's court case, so.
It says court case.
Okay.
No, let me paint that scenario again, right? So, Muyiwa says, let's say in my will, I specify that a particular property goes to my wife, Jane, and I call her both by name and by title, my wife. If we get divorced and I die before updating the will, does the language "my wife" in the will invalidate her claim since she's no longer my wife?
Sandra, the easy answer would be yes. But
a smart lawyer can just go to court.
There is nothing that cannot be argued.
Abi. Okay, let's take another call. 99.3. Hello. Turn your radio off.
Hello?
What's your name, sir?
Yeah, this is Mr. Merole.
Welcome, Mr. Mirule. Go ahead.
Yeah, how are you? Please, I'm calling from Ojo. My question is, where the law of the land and the Bible are in conflict, which one comes first?
Okay.
Bible.
Okay, so where the law of the land and the Bible...
Law of the land.
I mean, yes, pertaining to we're talking of inheritance sharing now.
Inheritance sharing.
Where the Bible and this law where lawyer is quoting now is in conflict. Which one comes first?
Okay, lawyer, where the Bible and
I heard the question.
Okay.
The law, Bible is not among us.
Oh, Bible is... No, oh, yeah, explain. Stop laughing and explain. Go ahead.
So Nigeria is not a religious state. Like we're a secular state.
Okay.
So we have laws that bind us. Now, your own religion, apart from Islamic law that binds adherents of the faith, we don't have Mosaic laws binding us or all those religious things, like we have progressed past those.
Okay.
So your Bible is for you and your family and your household only.
Okay.
It's your personal beliefs. If that is the law that that binds you, it binds you only in your lane. Once you come out of your lane, you are bound by the laws of the land.
I see. Engineer Happy in Cotton says, the Christian doctrine of Jesus Christ advocates for one man, one wife. What is Jesus' stand on will writing? I don't know. She's a lawyer. She's not a pastor. But do you have an answer?
Yes, I have an answer.
Okay,
to
Nika.
that question.
All right.
So, when you die and go to heaven and see Master Jesus, his laws only apply in heaven. While you're here on earth, the laws, like I said, bind only you and your household. So the laws of Jesus Christ has nothing, absolutely, in short, your religion, any religion that you are practicing has nothing to do with your will. See, when it comes down to it, the only thing that should matter when you're writing a will is that you want to look after your loved ones. Every other thing is irrelevant. Now, the Nigerian law says that apart from the customary laws that you are bound by, that the testator is bound by, those are the only things that are, that matter. Every other thing is irrelevant.
All right.
Now, based on your Christian views, now based on your, on your
religious
Christian
views,
you can choose to write a will and share your property in a Christian manner.
I see.
So that the secular laws do not apply to you. That is why it is important to have a will. A will is basically just you speaking from the dead. So you can choose in your will to see. Some people now provide for their burial in their will. And they say, I want to be buried in this church under the Christian laws, and it's just you providing for yourself and for your loved ones. Every other thing is immaterial. That is what you must know, apart from, knowing what you want to do, being of sound mind when you're doing it, having your two witnesses there with you, signing it properly, and having your will written down.
And registered at the probate office.
Written down by a lawyer and registered. That is it. That is all you need to know, and that's all you need to do. Every other question about your religion, that's between you and your pastor.
Okay. We've got David in Ikeja on the line. Hello, David.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Please, my question, I want to... there are two questions.
Okay.
One about will and another about tradition.
Okay.
All right. Now the will. How are you going to know? Let's say a rich man. Now, a rich man's wife and the lawyer are dating. You get that kind of stuff, and the man doesn't know that the lawyer and the wife are dating. So the man writes the will, and the will didn't favor the woman.
Okay.
Maybe favored only the children.
Okay.
If the lawyer should tell the woman and they plan, maybe they forge the man's signature or everything, I cannot, you get what I'm trying to paint, like, can it be legit so
let me understand something. The rich man's wife and the lawyer are having an affair.
Yes.
The lawyer writes the rich man's will and sees that his wife and lover, or his client's wife and his lover, has been left out of the will. So in his obioma, he decides to sneak in something for the wife into the will. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, like
will that will stand, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what's the second question?
Doesn't know. The second question is, there are some places that they say the first child, like a king now, that's where I'm going to, a king, it is only the first son that can rule. You get, like Oba of Benin now, it is only the first son that can rule. Even if the daughter is the first child, can the daughter go ahead to court to challenge that? Like, I'm the first child, so I'm also capable of ruling, like Oba of Benin.
I see.
So, like the Queen of England, the first child, maybe you are a man or a woman, you rule. But in Benin, it is only the first son that rules.
Okay. All right. Thank you for calling to ask your questions, David. We appreciate it. Nike, so we have a cheating lawyer / wife, and we have chieftaincy / kingdom succession type situation. What are your answers to both questions?
So, first and foremost, the question about the lawyer and the wife. That lawyer, first of all, is that is unprofessional conduct.
Okay.
Like, as lawyers, we are not to act in any way that is against the interest of our clients. As lawyers, like, there's a privacy agreement between us and our clients. I am not ever going to tell Mr. A's wife anything that Mr. A has told me
in confidence.
As his lawyer. That goes against the honor of my profession, and I will not do that.
Okay.
Now, where a lawyer does that, that will is invalid.
I see.
That will is invalid and can be contested in any court of law in Nigeria, at the High Court, actually, to be more precise.
I see.
Now, it's invalid now, particularly because from the tone of the question now, as like, I don't know if the man had written his will already and then the lawyer changed what the man had wrote after the man had signed it, or before the man had signed it. The law, as like, I do not know how that goes, but just know that will is not valid once it has been tampered with. Okay. That is why it is important here. It is important to register your will at the Probate Registry.
Okay.
Because the will that is outside, if it's reading differently from the will that you registered, that is why you will actually be there present for your will to be registered.
I see.
Your lawyer does not go alone. No, you are there with your lawyer.
I see.
They see you eye to eye.
I see.
You read it there again.
I see.
So, like, there are systems in place to make sure that things like this do not happen.
I see.
Yes.
I see. Okay. And then the question about the kingship stool.
We have answered this time and time again. You cannot devolve that which in your lifetime you cannot devolve.
Okay. All right. If you can't give it away while you're alive, you can't give it away while you're dead. BJ from Surulere says, what if the person that wills a property and the beneficiary in the will die on the same day? What happens to the willed property? But bear in mind that the beneficiary doesn't have a will.
So in some wills, some testators provide for things like this.
Okay.
Like, I will my house to my first son, Umong. In the event that he predeceases me, that said as like said property goes to so. Some people have backup beneficiaries.
Okay.
Some people have backup beneficiaries. Now, in the event that doesn't happen, when the will is being read, and then it is seen that all the property goes to the beneficiary is now deemed to have died intestate. So it's people that will inherit from the beneficiary now that will try to get the letters of administration.
Okay.
Because the person that had willed everything to him died tested, basically.
Okay. All right, then. We've got another message here from Maki in Lagos. Maki says, greetings to you, Chief President Sandra, and your guest. Wow, I'm Chief President. For me, I wrote my will at age 25. I'm over 50 years now, and I update my will when necessary. Moreover, there's no scriptural law that you must write a will. God's law supersedes every other law, contrary to what your guest said about the Bible. For me, I don't respect any law of the land that run against the law of God. Yeah, but we're still glad that you wrote a will. Well done, sir. Maki, thank you for writing a will. We've got Pius in Maryland. Yes, I'll come back to you, Nike, but we've got Pius in Maryland on the line. Hello, Pius.
Good evening, Sandra.
Good evening. Thanks for calling.
Thank you very much. And good evening to your guest.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, a quick one. I want to ask a question. Assuming you write a will and the person died on the same day as well as the testator before the will was read, what happens?
Okay.
I don't know if you get that.
Okay. Nika, did you get that?
No, please.
Okay, ask again. Go ahead.
What I'm saying, assuming the person who wrote the will died on a particular day, before the will could be read, the person who is supposed to be the testator also died on that same day.
The executor.
The executor, rather.
Also dies. Wow. Okay.
Yes, on the same day before the will was read.
Well, Nike always says to have more than one executor. So you have one executor and a backup executor.
Okay. That's it. Sandra, before I go, is it possible we have maybe the social media handle of Nike?
Okay. I'm going to ask her if it's okay with her to do that.
Yes, and on behalf of the listener, can we also make a request that Nike do a pro bono, write a pro bono will for one of the listeners? Thank you very
much. Pius, thank you for calling us. I like Pius. Pius is slick. All right, Nike, over to you. So first of all, address what Pius said because we're out of time. So first of all, address what Pius said, and then you can go back to talking about the guy that said he doesn't respect law that is not God's law.
Yeah. Okay, so Pius' question was about the death of the executor.
Yes, right? I've answered that because you said you have to have a backup executor. Yes.
Okay, then his second question was about having free will.
Yes.
Okay. We'll talk about that one later. Me and him will talk later.
No, his second question was if you have social media and we can reach you via social media handles.
Yes, I have social media. I will let Sandra share that later.
Okay. All right.
After we have spoken. Yeah,
okay. Fantastic. So let's talk about the person who says he doesn't respect any law that isn't backed by God's law.
Okay, yes, back to that now. Like, I'm not saying that God's law is not the universal law. I never said that. As like, if I insinuated that, like, then, that was just what you understood from what I said. So But then we live in a secular world, and we have laws that are meant to guide behavior. Now, I don't think that there is any existing law that goes against God's law, in quote. Like, I don't know if there is any existing law that goes against God's law. Because the only God's law that I believe that you're talking about would be about the biblical laws, the Mosaic laws. We are not living in those days.
Even Jesus said, "Give to Caesar."
And not everybody believes in that, and not everybody is bound by that. But there are laws that everybody has to be bound by, and those are the secular laws that govern behavior in the land. So I can understand how you might not want to follow it, and it's fine. But just to be living in peace and harmony, which I believe is God's ultimate law, to love your neighbor as yourself, you would need to also do that within the ambit of the secular laws that guide behavior where you exist.
Okay.
So
we have a final question, and you have to answer this one as quickly as possible because we have just 1 minute left.
Okay.
This person says a man is married but had problems with the wife, and they separated without a divorce. He returned her bride price back to her parents but did not divorce her legally. He then went ahead and remarried traditionally and had children with a new wife too, in addition to the children the ex-wife gave birth to. If this man dies interstate, what will be the fate of the wife he married traditionally without a legal marriage under the Act? Can the first wife come to drag the man's assets?
Yes.
Okay.
Legally.
Yes.
She can do that legally. Now, since he died intestate, letters of administration obviously would have to be now is the court now that would decide how the property would be shared.
I see.
But the first wife has legal rights to that property because she was married under the law. The other one now has customary rights.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said earlier, it is best to avoid situations like this, and the best way to do that is to have a will and try not to die intestate.
Okay.
Particularly if you have complicated life.
Okay. Somebody else says, if you use an institution to write a will, is it compulsory also to follow them to the probate registry to register and submit your will?
I do not know. What kind of institution, please?
The person just says if you use an institution.
It will still be a lawyer now. Is lawyers the right wills? But yes, see, going to the probate registry with your lawyer is very important. It's very, very important. It's very important because they want to know that you're the one. They need to know. They need to see you. Now, there are situations where, for whatever reason, you cannot be there, but I don't know of any exception to that rule. Okay. There might be, I'm just not aware of it, so I can't say.
Okay. Nika Robonlo, thank you so much for doing this with us. We really appreciate it. If people ask, maybe we'll bring Nika back again to answer more questions, but thank you. You've been such a great guest.
Thank you so much, Sandra, for having me.
All right, Lagos. You can listen to this again on our podcast. Hard Facts is available as a podcast. Search for Hard Facts with Sandra Ezekwesili. You can listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Radio Republic, everywhere that streams podcasts online. All right, so listen to this again. Listen to the episodes where we had Nike as well. We've had 2 other episodes of this where we've had several questions. I'm sure some of those questions address the concerns and questions that you have. I'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. So join me for the Big 3. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so Glass Ceiling returns. And on tomorrow's Glass Ceiling, I'd like to talk to women who do not believe that women are equal to men. I'd like to talk to women who think that it's not right to fight for women's rights, so it's not right to fight for equality with men. Tomorrow, 4 p.m., let's have that conversation on Hard Facts. The Glass Ceiling is a segment where that happens. In the meantime, I'm Sandra Ezekwesili on all social media platforms, and I love to chat. So why don't you get in touch with me, eh? Sandra Ezekwesili, Ezekwesili everywhere. Those were your Hard Facts, Lagos. Good night.
It's okay. That's okay. It's okay. Let me explain. No, it's okay. Let me explain. It's okay. She. Off your mic.
On 99.3 Nigeria Info, your mic is always on. Let's talk.